And I will share my screen. And we'll look up synonyms for we'll get started in that. So this is a question that's been asked. We'll look at these here. Do you remember I said green with envy a moment ago? See that? So let's look up these different words for jealous, right? So envious. So envious and jealous would be the main ones. And then covetous is another one I've mentioned. To want something that somebody else has. Desirous is a different meaning. Desirous is it's like expressing a want, a wish, right? So I am desirous of a better motor car, right? That's nothing to do with what anybody else has, or my neighbor, or my friend. I am just desirous of something, right? So I am desirous to be better at languages. You see that? Desirous. Am I coming out okay on these lights? Because I'm kind of standing up in the room here, so I don't know if the lights. Am I coming through okay on the camera? Is that all right? You see me all right? Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay.
Teacher,
Hi, Mona.
this meaning has positive meaning.
Yeah. Well, it's neither positive nor negative, really. Desirous is it's kind of unusual. It means I desire, right? I have a desire for something, right? Generally something, or you know, like I could say I am desirous of good health.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's nothing negative in that in any way, right?
Okay.
Desirous. So I desire something.
Thank you.
Right. Resentful. Now, resentful is generally negative, and resentful means that I've got some resentment. I'm harboring. There's a good word. Harboring means I've got feelings. Like we talk about harboring a grudge, right? Harboring a grudge. What's Elham like? Oh, you got to be careful with her. She's harboring a grudge. She's harboring a grudge against Mona. Really? Are you sure? Yeah, for sure. Right? Harboring a grudge, right? Grudging. Grudging and resentful are very negative. And are not necessarily to do with money. Envious and jealous and covetous, those three words are all to do with money and things. Not always, but mostly. You know, you could say, you know, some of Mona's friends are jealous of her good looks. Yeah, so it's nothing to do with money. Okay. You see, it's nothing to do with money in that case. And that's not necessarily a negative thing, right? That's really kind of complimentary. So jealous is they wish they looked like that as well. Yeah. So so resentful and judging, though, resentment is I've got to resent. I resent something, right? And what you generally resent is when somebody else, it's about somebody else, generally. Or I could say, I'm resentful that I've not been promoted.
Okay.
Yeah, so-and-so was promoted and I wasn't. And I'm resentful of that. People wouldn't admit to that, by the way. They generally wouldn't admit to that.
Hello, Salakar. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Rahel.
Hi.
Yeah, you joined a few minutes ago, but I didn't hear anything, so I assumed you had some communication issues. Yeah.
Sorry, I had a problem. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So that's 3 Persian ladies I've got today on class.
Yeah.
You're on branch of the class.
Yeah, this tells you something. This tells you something. Where are the Indian lassies? Let me just put a wee message out on Facebook. Not Facebook.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Alan's advanced English. Right. Now that will maybe G up Anjali, who also never misses a class.
Yeah.
She's the other one. Okay. Begrudging is similar to grudging, right? Begrudge. I begrudge the talent somebody else has, right? Begrudge and grudging are really the same. Jaundiced. Now, jaundiced is really a medical term. You know, if you're yellow, you know, if there's something wrong with you and your skin is turning yellow, that condition is called jaundiced. And it can be used in this kind of context as well, obviously. Not very often. I wouldn't generally hear that. Bitter, though, would be regularly used. So obviously we use bitter to describe certain kinds of fruit, like a lemon is bitter, a lime is bitter, yeah? But you could also use it metaphorically to say, he's really bitter, he has not been promoted. So the same way I could say the same thing as meaning I say he's very resentful, or he, you know, he's grudging, yeah? So bitter. Malicious is a wee bit different. Malicious is where you want to harm somebody else, harm them. Like if you said somebody did something, but there was no malice in it, there was no malice, that would be saying it was innocent. They didn't mean to offend, they didn't mean to hurt, right? But if they did something with malice, or maliciously, it means they are trying to hurt somebody else. Yeah. Spiteful is again doing something with a motive to hurt somebody else. You know, he made some spiteful comments about me, whatever. And green with envy is back in the same area as jealous and envious and covetous, right? So envy is just the same as envious, right? Envy. But green with envy says like you're so envious, you're changing color, right? Going green, right? And a summary of that is green, right? He's really green about that, right? He's, or green-eyed, or greedy. So that's a whistle-stop tour. There's an expression, a whistle-stop tour around words related to jealousy. Does that all make sense? Any questions on that?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
I want to make sure if I got it correctly. If I am going to use jealous or envious, I can say I am jealous or envious of someone.
Yeah.
And I've got some resentful feeling about some, for example, person, some people.
Close. You would say to say that the nearest thing, the best thing to say in that is you would say, I really resent. Yeah, you can say, I really resent my English teacher. He insults my intelligence, right?
I see.
Yeah, you would say just, I resent. You wouldn't say I am resentful. I am resentful, typically. But you would say that about somebody else. You could say, Mona, she's really resentful, right? But when you're describing yourself, you'd say, you typically wouldn't even say I'm full of resentment. You wouldn't say I'm full of resentment. You just say I resent. Yeah, yeah. It's like verb. Use the verb.
So when we want to say I resent of something or from something.
No. This is a good question. No. You resent the situation, not of. If you want to say of, you'd have to say resentful of. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. If you wanted to say of, you could say of, but you have to say resentful in that case. So I am resentful of the fact the teacher always picks somebody else in the class. I'm resentful of it. You could say that, right?
Yeah.
Or you could say, I really, or you say the same thing by saying, I really resent the fact that teacher always picks Mona, doesn't pick me. Yeah.
I feel.
So that's
I got that.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the covetous.
Covetous?
I didn't get how to use it in the sentence.
Right. So the basic word is covet, right? Covetous is the feeling, right? But I could say, you can say this in a positive way. You can say, I covet a better job, right? Which means the basic meaning of covet is I want something I don't have, right? That's what covet means, right? I want something I don't have. Now that can be positive or negative. In general, it's used negatively because it's usually to do with money, and things. Materialistic. So to be covetous would be seen as being materialistic, wanting lots of things, wanting bigger house, fancier car, that is covetous. Now, how do we use it in a sentence? I don't like that guy, Alan. He's a really covetous guy. All he talks about is money.
I see.
See? I don't like that guy. He's covetous, right? Alan covets promotion to such an extent that he would stab anybody else in the back. And stabbing somebody in the back is obviously not real, using a real dagger. But we use that
analogy.
It's an analogy. We talk about, somebody who puts down other people in your workplace. We call that stabbing them in the back.
Yeah. Pull the rig.
Come again?
Pull. We had some expression to pull the rig from someone's
Pull the rug. Pull the rug.
Pull the rug. Yeah.
Yeah, pull the rug. That's different. To pull the rug from, it's really a totally different word. So don't conflate those two things, right? To pull the rug from underneath somebody is to say something that just makes them fall down immediately. So if you imagine a little child standing on a rug and you pull the rug out from under them and they fell down, right? So we say to pull the rug from under you is to suddenly do something that is very hurtful and it's unexpected as well. Alan was actually hoping for promotion, but when he was called into the boss's office, but the rug was pulled right out from under him because he ended up with a demotion. right?
Yeah.
So the rug was pulled out from under him, right? It could also be like a missed opportunity. Alan has been training for this half marathon for the last 3 months, and but the rug was pulled out from under him when the race got cancelled because of COVID restrictions. Right, so the rug was pulled from, so the opportunity was suddenly gone. The rug was pulled out from under him. So pulling the rug out from under somebody can be malicious. Hear this word here, can be malicious, or it could be non-malicious. It's just fate, timing, things happen. Okay, so can we get out of this subject onto happier topics now?
May I have just one other question? I'm so
Oh, just because it's you, go on then.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I want to use covetous with a subject, with an object, like I'm covetous of some problem, of some, for example, money or position.
Yeah.
Is it a correct sentence?
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
Some position?
Yeah. I am covetous. Yeah. It's mostly used to do with things, right? So you covet, you have a nice apartment in Tehran, but you really covet that one down the street because it's got a balcony and a swimming pool and. I'm really covetous of that, right? But you typically wouldn't admit to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You wouldn't typically confess that until except to your girlfriend, right? Or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You wouldn't really go about broadcasting that fact, you know. But people would say it about somebody else if they were gossiping.
I got that. So it's totally negative.
Almost always. The one exception is that I mentioned pretty much early on when I said, you are very jealous when you take your niece and nephew out for a walk in public. You're very jealous of their safety. See? Jealous. Actually, so I'm not using covetous there. I'm using jealous. Yeah. But I'm using that in the sense of protection. We would say, I'm jealous of my reputation, or I'm covetous of my reputation, right? In other words, I'm using it in a positive sense there, and it's got the idea of protection.
I got that. Thank you.
Right. We'll move on.
How interesting. Jealous in positive use. So interesting. It's new to my ears.
Right. So let me bring up my wee list. Now, last time my list is getting so long, it's hard to find where I was. But I had found the spot earlier, but here we are. Right. So I think the last word I mentioned on the class on Sunday morning was umpteen. Do you remember that? Were you guys there? Umpteen. Were you guys in class, or did you see the recording? Murphy's Law. Do you remember Murphy's Law?
No, not me.
Okay, I definitely did these. So you'll need to review that class if you want to catch up. I'm not going to go back over the ground again. But the words I did interesting words there, like limitation and restriction. That was a question from Mona. Yeah, Mona, you weren't there, but I answered that in the last class. Right? The difference between limitation and restriction and when you'd use one over the other.
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. And then I did artistry and formulaic, in the teeth of, affordances, finagle, commemorate, Murphy's Law, and umpteen. Those are the words I did last time, right? So you can go back to that last recording if you're interested in that. So I'm going to pick up here. And the first word I'm going to do is a very boring kind of word, but I'm just going to do it anyway, mainly because of the word I'm going to do after that. And I'm going to explain the difference. So the first word is balcony or balcony. I think most people say balcony. I personally like to say balcony. I just prefer that pronunciation. What is a balcony?
You mean the place?
Yeah. What
Like
is
a terrace.
like a terrace? Yes, exactly. I would describe it as at least a first floor outside view in a property. So if a property has a balcony, it's a good thing. That's a positive thing. Yeah, a balcony or a balcony. And usually, if you go on holiday, you're generally going to somewhere. At least in Britain, we tend to go somewhere where there's sun because we don't get a lot of sun. And most of the apartments that you would have when you go abroad would have a balcony. Yeah, balcony. So very simple, boring kind of word. But what about this next word? Mezzanine. Mezzanine. Do you know what that word is?
Teacher, could you please write this?
Yeah. Mezzanine. New word for all of you?
No.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so this word, you get this word in America, right? So if you ever go to America or Canada, you'll come across the mezzanine in a hotel, right? And here's a picture of one here on the right-hand side. See that? So the idea is it's not the ground floor. It's lifted up from the ground floor, but it's logically part of the ground floor. So in a hotel, in years gone by, you had the ground floor. Right, so this is the difference between Britain and America, right? So in Britain, you got the ground floor, right? When you walk in, the vestibule, you're on the ground floor. And the next floor up is the first floor. Right? The first floor. So floor one is not the ground floor. You got the ground floor and then the first floor. So the first floor is really like the second floor, but we call it the first floor. And then the second floor, then the third floor, right? And then most hotels, do you know, especially in America, don't have a floor 13. You go to floor 12, and then the next one is floor 14.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Because somebody like Ilham would say, I'm not staying on the 13th floor, right?
No, I won't say something like that,
Yeah,
but I have
yeah.
heard that.
So anyway, this is an peculiarly American thing, right? You don't get that in Britain, right? In Britain, you have a 13th floor and a tall hotel, 13th floor, right? But the 13th floor is really the 14th floor, right? Because you got the ground floor. Now, coming back to this idea of the mezzanine, is generally in a hotel, the ground floor would be used like where you would have reception, you might have the restaurant or restaurants, you could have some function suites there, and then the bedrooms would start in first floor, right? And so on, yeah? Now, with some hotels, they need more space for all of that kind of generalized function. And so they use what would be the first floor for that. And generally, to create a sense of space, they don't make the roof hard. They make the roof kind of only partly covered the thing. And they call that the mezzanine, yeah?
Mhm.
And so as a consequence of that, we would use the word mezzanine sometimes, a bit rare, but more in America would say this, to say, metaphorically, to say, you know, the mezzanine perspective. He's on the mezzanine, so he's up one, right? He's looking down on us ordinary people, right? So you use it metaphorically. That's what the mezzanine is.
And there are some studios that has the same architecture, and do you call them mezzanine too?
I guess so. A low story between two others in a building, typically between the ground and the first floors. A mezzanine floor. Finance, relating to or denoting unsecured, high-yielding loans that are subordinate to bank loans and secured loans but rank above equity. They didn't know that. Every day's a school day. Mezzanine, the company received $9 million in mezzanine financing. So it's unsecured. So it's a higher yielding loan. So you got to pay more interest for it than, say, a secured loan. Subordinate to bank loans and secured loans, but ranking above equity. Interesting. Didn't know that. Right. So we know what the balcony is and we know what the mezzanine is. Right? Pretty uninteresting words, if I'm honest. Right. Right. Here's a good word I came across. All these words, by the way, I come across every week in life, right? I come across these words in reading or in listening, and I think, aha, my team won't know that. So I write it down and then give you the benefit of it, right? So this word I came across in the last week. Dismissive. Dismissive. What does that mean? What does that mean when it's at home? I've taught you in the past what it means when you say when something's at home. Can you remember?
No, but dismiss, I guess, is to let someone go.
Yes, that's one meaning. That is one meaning. If you get dismissed from your workplace, that you're let go. And it generally has negative connotations. So it could be for poor performance.
Mm-hmm.
I was dismissed. Or you could be dismissed. It's used a lot in military, right? You're dismissed from the army or something like that, right? Because you're not good enough or you're a deserter or something. So you're dismissed. And so you could be dismissed with disgrace, right? Would be an official status. Dismiss. Yeah.
Is this adjective?
Come again, Mona?
Teacher, is this adjective?
Adjective. Well, no. To dismiss is the infinitive verb, right? To dismiss. Dismissive. To say dismissive is
Something against, I guess, massive.
yes, exactly. It's like you could be explaining something to me, Raheli, and I could be dismissive, right? And if I am being dismissive like that, it means that I am not considering it. I'm just casting it aside, or I'm disagreeing with it, or I'm not accepting it. And it's generally seen as a negative, right? So let's dismissive, let's define. Feeling or showing that something is unworthy of consideration. monetarist theory is dismissive of the need to control local spending, right? So it won't be considered. That's what dismissive means. So nobody likes somebody to be dismissive in their character, you know, dealing with others. People like people to give them attention and interest, right? And not, nobody wants to deal with somebody that's dismissive.
To ignore someone or something in bad way.
Just repeat that, Raheli, please.
I said to ignore someone or something.
Yes. Not exactly though. Dismissive, it tends to be to do with an idea. It could be just dismissive. You know, Raheli was trying to get the attention of the boss, but he was dismissive. You could say that. So she was trying to get attention because she had this great idea, but he was just dismissive.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, go away. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. Dismissive. So a good word to know, common word. Everybody would know what this would mean. Okay. Right. Next word. Shreda's going to join. Ruminate. What does it mean to ruminate?
To think deeply.
Very good. Excellente.
Thank you.
And it's thinking deeply about something, first definition. But look at this thing here, right? It's also used about animals, right? When, you know, the way animals chew, certain animals chew the cud. Sheep chew the cud, and cows chew the cud. Yeah. And pigs chew the cud, right? There's different animals that chew the cud, right? But a lion doesn't chew the cud, right? A lion eats something, and that's it, goes in its stomach. Right? I'm teaching grannies to suck eggs here, right? You all know that, yes? Yes? Chewing the cud, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. And so that goats ruminated nonchalantly around them, right? So that's word is also used to describe that behavior of animals. And consequently, we also humanize that as well and say he was sitting there looking on the park bench, looking out at nature, and he was chewing the cud. He was chewing the cud, right? So that's a slightly more informal way of saying he was ruminating. He was thinking, right? Slightly more common words would be contemplating. He was deep in contemplation. To contemplate. So contemplate and ruminate basically mean the same things. Cogitate, it's another one that came up there. Cogitate. Ponder is another good thing, to ponder or consider. While ruminate is to chew cud, involving, right? This is a really rubbish. Sometimes Wikidiff can give you something useful. Sometimes it gives you complete rubbish, and that's complete rubbish. Yeah, so here, this is another interesting point here that I didn't think to mention, but is good. So contemplation and rumination are exactly the same thing, right? Just take it as they're the same, right? However, contemplate has an additional meaning here. The act of looking forward to an event as about to happen, expectation, right? So Alan is contemplating a trip to Iran, right? I'm not ruminating there. If I'm contemplating it, it means I'm thinking about it. I haven't made a commitment yet. I haven't booked my ticket, but I'm considering it. So contemplation has that additional meaning, as well as I'm just thinking deeply. I've reached a stage in my life now where I'm doing lots of contemplation, lots of thinking. In order to be productive in your contemplation, you need to have no distractions, no TV, no radio, no music, and you need quiet. So we came here from ruminate to ruminate. And we also did contemplate. And the other word that's very similar to that is cogitate. And to cogitate is basically the same thing as well. Cogitate. Thinking deeply about something, meditate or reflect. He stroked his beard and retired to cogitate. Okay, so you can use any of those words: contemplate, ruminate, or cogitate to mean the same thing, with the wee nuance that contemplating also has an additional meaning to say that you're about to do something. But it doesn't have to mean that. Everybody comfortable? Elham, you got a question?
Yeah, I want to make sentences to be sure that I understood. I want to say I use Pomodoro technique to have more contemplation.
Yeah,
is that right?
I just didn't catch the first couple of words you said there.
Pomodoro?
I don't know what word you're saying there.
Pomodoro is a kind of, I guess, Spanish word for tomato, which is a focus technique. It sliced, for example, an hour to quarters, and 1 quarter you study, 1 quarter you rest, again 1 quarter you study. It is a technique.
Okay, so it's called the tomato technique, is that it?
They say that. Also, they call it Pomodoro.
Spell that.
Pomodoro. R-O. Yep.
I never heard of this before in my life.
Pomodoro.
Okay, so the pronunciation is a bit different. Pomodoro.
Yeah. Pomodoro.
Pomodoro, Italian.
Italian, not Spanish.
Okay, so there's a sauce. Hi, Shweta.
Hello, sir. Good
I
evening,
guess
sir.
you won't find it in a
Hi, Shweta. Good to hear you.
dictionary.
Right, so this is all new to me, right? The Pomodoro Technique is a time management system that encourages people to work with the time that they have rather than against it. Using this method, you break a workday into 25-minute chunks separated by 5-minute breaks. After 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break of 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, never heard of it. Fascinating. I will do some reading about that in my time. I will go and cogitate. And then I will contemplate using it if I like the sound of it. So yes.
So could I say, could I use the contemplation in this sense?
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. Yeah. Half of the time, contemplation means just thinking, right? Thinking deeply. That's what contemplation means. The other half of the time is contemplating means I'm considering.
Mm-hmm.
See, considering is another word you can use in this whole space, right? Yeah, I'm weighing something up. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm considering it. I'm contemplating it. I'm cogitating it. I'm ruminating on it. And probably ruminate is the most like abstract and would be the least used. Okay, is everybody comfortable? Right.
Excuse me. Can we use digest as a synonym here? Digest.
That's a good question. Let's do the word digest, because the word digest, right, has got multiple meanings. If I asked you all to produce a digest of this class, you would, what I'm asking for is a summary, right? That's what I'm asking for, is a summary, a digest. But Raheli presented this very interesting idea, and I thought I would have to go away and take some time to digest it. And in that sense, how we're using digest is to fully understand. Because it's one thing to hear, it went in the ears, but to digest it is to really understand it, to have my head around it. Like when you take food, you haven't digested it. It needs to go inside and spend an hour or two in your tummy before it goes down. Yeah. And it's digested. So the basic meaning is to break down food in the alimentary canal, right? That's the basic meaning. And then the way I was using it was this way, to understand or assimilate information by a period of reflection. Leonora digested this piece of news with mixed feelings. So Leonora, who knows what went before this, right? But let's just guess. Leonora really liked her boss, but he announced he was going to work in a different company. And so she digested the news with mixed feelings because she was pleased for her boss, but she knew she was going to miss him in the current workplace. So therefore she had mixed feelings. She was happy and sad at the same time. A compilation or summary of material. So that's what another definition I mentioned when I said, if I asked you to prepare a digest of this class, that's what I'm asking for, is a summary, you see? So that was a good question, Raheli. Is everybody comfortable with the answer and these different meanings of the word digest?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great question. Right. Subscribe. What does that word mean?
To join a group as a member.
Yep, that's one meaning, right? You could subscribe to a group, you could subscribe to an idea. You could subscribe to a religion. You could subscribe to a magazine and have it delivered monthly. So to subscribe in that sense has a subscription. It's got the idea of a subscription, right? But the more interesting one is like where you're subscribing to an idea. Arrange to receive something, typically a publication, by paying in advance. Okay. Express or feel agreement with an idea or proposal. So Alan has this wild idea about whatever, carbon emissions or something. I don't know, something big and dramatic. Alan's got this crazy idea, but I don't subscribe to it, right? I don't subscribe to it, which means I don't agree, right? I choose to disagree. I don't subscribe.
Teacher,
Hi, Mona.
is this the synonym of confirm?
Confirm?
Yes.
No. No. It's nearly a synonym of affirm, though. Maybe thinking of that.
Affirm?
Affirm, yeah, to affirm.
What's the meaning of affirm?
So affirm, agreement with or consent. So if you subscribe, you agree. And you can also say, I affirm. Right? Actually, there's a legal sense here because in Britain, if you don't want to swear, in general, what happens in a court here is you have to swear on the Bible, right? You put your hand on the Bible and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right?
Okay.
That's basically what happens in a court if you are called to testify. However, some people don't like the idea of swearing on a Bible, right?
Yes.
Either because they have strong religious views or no religious views, right? Right. Most people wouldn't bat an eyelid, but if you've got very strong Christian beliefs, you might say, well, I don't want to swear on the Bible. And if I've got no beliefs, or maybe I'm a Muslim background, I don't want to swear in the Bible, right? So in that case, what you can do in a court is say, I will affirm. I will affirm, right? So you put your hand up like this, and I affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right? I mean, it's just an exercise that is done at the beginning of proceedings that is kind of formal, which is making it very clear that you are expected to tell the truth. Yes. In a legal court situation. You're not free to lie, even though people do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Iran, teacher, like Iran. In the court, people sometimes should swear on Quran.
Right. So, the countries are copying each other here, right? Because it's the same idea. It's the same idea exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So affirm. To confirm has got a different meaning.
Okay.
Yeah. To confirm is generally, it's almost like sealing. something. Let's say we're trying to make arrangements. Alan is coming on a visit to Tehran, and he's going to take all his Persian lady friends out for dinner. So we're going to organize a date, and right, and then we confirm. You see, we confirm. So the arrangement is tentative until it's confirmed.
Okay,
So that's what confirm means.
thank you.
I'm sorry, what word did you use?
Tentative.
You said yeah,
Tentative?
I didn't.
Yeah. So, okay, let's just finish confirm and then we'll do tentative. Establish the truth or correctness of something believed or suspected to be the case, to confirm it, right? There's a religious thing here in the UK, I won't go into that. But this is the basic meaning, right? To confirm is something is believed or suspected to be the case, and to confirm it is to remove all doubt. If these fears are confirmed, the outlook for the economy will be dire. So in the UK, they're putting the base interest rates up, and it means that lots of people are going to move into poverty, right? And if these fears are confirmed, the outlook for the economy will be very, very, very bad. To confirm. Now, the other word there that I threw in for free, without thinking about it, is tentative. And we would use that when we're making arrangements. If I can spell it right. Sometimes it's Google just doesn't want to listen to me. Not certain or fixed, provisional, right? So we're going to make a date to go out for a nice meal when I'm in Tehran. Okay, so it's our intention, but the arrangements are tentative until everybody can confirm that they can make the date. Tentative, confirmed. Alan, have you any holiday plans? No. Even tentative, tentative? No, not even tentative. Nothing in plan. Because I didn't know what was happening with COVID. I don't know about the travel arrangements. Blah, 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 blah. But when you're making arrangements, things move into a state of, I'm considering, I'm contemplating, and the arrangements move into a status of tentative. Tentative. And then they get confirmed. Right, like that's the word they use, the word like seal, right? It's definitely happening. God willing. Okay. Wow. So we did subscribe and then we did tentative. Right. Now here's something. Right? What does this mean? Work in progress. What would that mean? This is an expression. Work in progress. You must be able to guess what that means.
Does it have a different meaning from the literal meaning?
No, it doesn't really. No, just tell me what you think it means literally.
We have a job to do, and it is developing step by step.
Exactly. So the work is started. It's not complete, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to take a year. This is a big project we're working on. It's a work in progress. That's what work in progress means. Okay. Now, people also personify this as well when they say things like, well, I'm a work in progress. right? And that's quite a humble thing to say, because what that's saying is, I'm not done yet, right? I'm really only a young thing, right? I'm still growing up. I'm still learning every day. So I'm a work in progress. Got it?
That was interesting.
What was that, Raheli?
I said that was interesting.
Yeah. So I have to say that's very much at the edge. You know, most people wouldn't say that. If somebody does say that, it's kind of like people take note of that, right? It's self-effacing. Self-effacing. I'll come back to that. Let's just read what it says here. An unfinished project is still being added to or developed. The book itself is still a work in progress. So Elham is writing her tome, right? On life, the universe, and everything. But she's been at it for 5 years and it's still a work in progress, right? Okay. Work in progress. There's a people also do that, WIP. And that's what they mean by that, right? So they just say, oh, it's WIP. So if you're doing a status report in work, it's WIP, right? It's still, you know, it started, but it's not finished, and it's not nearly finished, you know. WIP. And then the one I said was, I'm a work in progress. Oh, somebody's actually put it in a song. I didn't know that. Okay, there you go. Song by Alan Jackson. I won't play it. Okay, so that's work in progress. Right. I'll do one more word, and this is a good word, which I don't think any of you will know. Does anybody know what ensconced means? Ensconced. Establish or settle someone in a comfortable, safe place. For example, Agnes ensconced herself in, I should say, in her bedroom. So ensconced is to separate yourself in order to do something, like to read, to be on your own, to have some contemplation time. Elham likes time on her own, doesn't want to be with people 24/7. 90% of my students are introverts. Because you're the intelligent ones, right? But you like to be ensconced, right? But not every day of the week, right? Because you like people too, but you like to be ensconced. The sculpture, I nearly said the sepulcher. The sculpture is safely ensconced behind glass. He ensconced himself in front of the television. So some synonyms, I always like to look up synonyms of words because it really helps you just to sort of get clarity on the meaning. Installed, lodged, nestled, perched, roosted, settled. You get the idea? You know, if I go camping, especially in Scotland where it's pretty cold, I don't like putting up my tent, but eventually I really look forward and anticipate getting ensconced in my sleeping bag where it'll be nice and warm with my woolly hat on. Ensconced. Okay. All got that? Yeah. And so last thing I'll do, here's a wee phrase that I discovered recently. And I think it was this guy, Lao Tzu, that said it. I mean, somebody else are sort of claiming this idea, but watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. I like that. I thought it was pretty good. But I don't think this guy, Frank Outlaw, is the guy that created it. I think it was a Chinese guy called Lao Tzu. Does everybody follow that, the logic there? Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. Well, that's quite good. Right. We forgot the word spiel. Elham is reminding me that. Right. So for a bonus point, we're going to do this word, which I used earlier. Spiel. Well remembered, Elham. An elaborate or glib speech or story typically used by a salesperson. Oh, I'm not going to listen to his spiel anymore. Right. So it's talking about what somebody else says, but as you're talking about it, you're immediately putting it down. I'm not going to listen to his spiel. He's a snake oil salesman. Right? Spiel. Spiel. Good word to learn to say. You have to get the pronunciation right. Shh. Use sibilants. You don't say spiel. Spiel. You say shh. Spiel. Spiel. Who wants to have a go at that?
Yeah, give it a try. Spiel.
Excellent. You did. Spiel.
Spiel.
Spiel. This is not the right word. Spiel. This is the one.
Spiel. Spiel.
Okay.
Spiel. Spiel. Spiel.
All right. I don't like their pronunciation
Spiel.
as much as mine. They're just saying say spiel, spiel. But I think it should be spiel, spiel. That's definitely how I've heard it. Spiel.
Spiel. Spiel. Spiel. Spiel.
Okay, well, I must stand corrected then. Sounds like it should be spiel. Spiel. But I like my pronunciation better. I'll never change. I like it better. I'll put a wee bit extra sibilants in at the start. I haven't actually looked up the etymology of it, right? But it's definitely a really good word to know. Spiel. There is very few people in Iran or India will know the word Spiel. And you don't want to be accused of talking Spiel, right? That wouldn't be too positive. But you could also use it innocuously, right? Innocuous means what? What does innocuous mean? Innocuous is a synonym for the word harmless. Oh, he's got a big dog. Yeah, but it's innocuous. It's harmless. And that guy has to take a lot of drugs for his medical conditions. Yeah, but they're fairly innocuous. They're harmless, supposedly. Innocuous. That's a good word to know. Innocuous. Okay. We all done for another class? Where did the time go? Where did the time go? We've been going at this for an hour and 15 minutes. I'll stop the recording now.
Thank you, teacher.